Hi, today I wanted to do a book review, and I'll let you know spiritually outside the Bible there are two books that have influenced my life. One I've read over 5 or 6 times to go back to it time and time again to learn the principles, and then the other one is this one I'm going to tell you about today. The first one is Henry Blackaby's Experiencing God. I read it when I was in college almost 20 years ago, and I go through it every 3 to 4 years just to remind myself of the truths that Henry teaches. And if I ever started a church, that'd probably be the first Bible study I did. But the second book is one that me and my wife recently read together, and it is David Platt's Radical. Now, I believe everybody should go out and buy this book for this reason, because in this book he talks about taking the American dream, or taking our faith back from the American dream. And this is something that has been resonating in my soul for the last couple of years. You know, I go to church on a regular basis. I do all the things that are expected of me, but it always seems like there's something more. Or are we missing something as a church or as Christians in America? And this book will tell you yes, and he has a challenge at the end of 5 things to try to do for the next year. And one is to pray for the entire world. The second is to read through the Bible. The third is to sacrifice your money for a specific purpose. You know, probably giving to missions or a local ministry, but to sacrificially give some of your money for something. And then another one is spending your time in another context, which is basically taking a trip maybe overseas or into an inner city to see what God's doing in another context of what you usually live. Basically, get out of your comfort zone. And then the other is committing your life to multiplying community, getting involved in your local fellowship, getting involved with other believers, and not just on a how are you basis, but getting involved in their lives and really praying for them, really investing in people. And that's what basically this book is about, to set up why we should strive for those things. And basically it could be summed up in that God requires our total devotion. Now, I will tell you, you have to be careful, because this is a powerful book, and I'm going to reread it again. And in fact, if you want to hit the link below, I'm going to share my thoughts as I reread it again, as my Tuesday morning Bible study, a group of businessmen go through it. I'm going to reread it again and send out notes that I won't post on here. So if you want to be a part of that community, if you even want to read this book and be a part of what I'm learning, you could sign up right underneath this. But the danger that we'll all have in this book is, if we're not careful, we'll just think, oh, if I do these 5 things, or if I do some of them, you know, I'm radical, and we'll forget to love Christ. But I believe if you do these things, how David Platt talks about, you'll grow your love for Christ, and you'll desire to see Him work more in your life. So basically, he wants you to do those 5 things for 1 year, to do a radical experiment, as he calls it. And below this video, I've included the link to the official book website, because it talks about it more, the radical experiment. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it slowly, because there's some issues that I have raised, questions in my head as I've read through the book that I want to deal with in my own life. So we're going to go through that. Sign up for the newsletter, whatever you want to call it. It's not necessarily a newsletter, but sign up for that if you want to follow along and even get your own copy of Radical and go through it with us. I'll be starting sending out those in a week, because I'm rereading chapter 1 right now. But I would encourage every Christian to get this book and to read it and to ask God, how does this apply to my life?